with our presentation. So once more, let me say good afternoon, good evening, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Welcome to our Verto Education parent welcome call for our fall 26 semester. If you're here in this call tonight, it means that your student is preparing, as well as you are preparing for your student's upcoming abroad experience with Verto Education. And you likely may have some questions on what is the best way, what are the tools that you have to support your student as they start their self-authorship journey. And we know that the preparation for the semester doesn't have to start the moment they arrive on site on August 24th. It starts now. There's several months before students arrive, and there's many checklist items that we're going to work on together to empower your student and get them ready for this on-site experience. And so tonight's call is all about showing you the tools and tips that you have to work together with your student and get them ready for their experience abroad. My name is Mateo. I'm the community manager here at Verto. I've been on the team for 5 years. I'm so proud of this community that we've built together, and I'm thankful that you're a part of our community as well. So let me probably not be the first person, but let me be another voice to say welcome to our community. This fall semester is going to be our largest semester in Verto history. So your student is a part of that, and we're very excited to get them ready for this transformational experience abroad. You only can go from high school to college once, and we're so glad that your student has chosen to be a part of our community, whether a year or a semester before matriculating to their channel school. So welcome to you as well. We very much view parents as partners in this process, especially in onboarding. And as you'll see, or maybe you've already seen, there are many items that we're working on to get your student ready with their checklists. So tonight's call is all about showing you the tips and tools that you have available to you to support your student. And I just wanted to say welcome. If you see your school on this screen, amazing. If not, we couldn't fit more than our 70 plus partner colleges on the screen without it getting really small. So I want to give a special shout out to anyone who is joining the Verto experience via a channel partnership. We are proud to partner with our consortium of channel schools all across the country. And so a special welcome to you, and thank you for making Verto a part of your students' pathway to their channel school. And as well, I want to give a special shout out to students and families who are joining and they're exploring options. Of course, we hope that you'll consider some of our direct transfer partners as well, a pretty impressive consortium of schools across the country that will provide guaranteed admission to your student, given that they meet the admissions criteria through a free application process once they're on site. So if your student is exploring their options as well, your student is in the right place and will have access to these schools and more that, again, we couldn't fit all on the same screen. So a little bit of who's here with you tonight. I'll let everyone introduce themselves when they get to their part. But I'll start here in the left-hand corner. That's me. My name is Mateo. I'm originally from California, but I've lived abroad for 10 years. I'm based in Mexico City. I've spent more than a month at all of our sites, and I'm a proud alum of Study Abroad. So I believe in the power and the leadership opportunities that studying abroad provides, which is why I'm so excited that your student is joining us for this upcoming semester. So I'll share more about our pre-departure experience before I pass it off to Rob and my team. I want to say I already see some questions in the chat, so I'm going to turn that off in order to direct all of your attention to our Q&A feature. So in your Zoom toolbar, you will see a bubble that says Q&A. Go ahead and put your questions there throughout our presentation. That way we can keep track of them and answer them in a logical way. And you can also see all of the questions that have already been asked and answered. People ask, is this recorded? Yes, it is. It will be available tomorrow on the Family Resources page, which I'll demo later tonight, but all of the recordings for our previous events are there. So you're welcome to review this recording and check out the slides as they are helpful to you. Okay, so a little bit of what we're going to cover tonight. First, we'll give you a bird's eye view of the Verto experience, where you're at and what you can prepare for. Then we're going to hear from our onboarding and student financial services team about visa processes, billing, and more, including that checklist item component that is important at this point of our cycle. We're going to hear from our academics team so you can get a better understanding of the academic experience your student is preparing for. And lastly, we'll conclude with some question and answer so we can answer your the hot questions that come up with parents around this time of the cycle. Okay, so first I want to take a step back and sort of give you a snapshot of where you and your student are at in the Verto process. So your student has already worked with our admissions counselor. They've weighed their options and they've made an excellent choice about where they want to spend their fall and maybe even spring semester. And so now they're in point 2, pre-departure. This is where your student is working with their student onboarding advisor, their SOA for short. And Rob will share later. But this portion of the experience is all about the checklist items and preparing your student for their on-site experience. As we'll detail, there's lots of to-dos in these next couple of months, but luckily we have lots of tools to show you as you work with your student to get them ready for completing those items. This, of course, prepares us for the on-site program, the why we're all here. So your student will benefit from the guidance and mentorship of expert faculty who are passionate about the topics that they're instructing, the student success advisor, which is sort of a core experience of our first year model in terms of support. It's your student's mentor and coach as they work through their semester and celebrate wins and also work through challenges. And in addition to that, we have a whole structure of support and leadership at each site, including program directors and other academic staff, to really make sure we're providing a robust support experience for your student, as well as an academically rigorous experience for your student. So they're ready for their next post-Verto plan. This, of course, after completion, will grant your student access to the alumni network, which I'm proud to say is thousands of students strong across the country and even world. Verto alumni are a special group of people because they have an experience abroad that really unlocks a whole new framework for looking at the world. So I'm excited and looking ahead to that experience for your student. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's look a little bit more at step 2. Now, you might also be wondering, where does my role fit in here as a parent, as a supporter of my student, and as my student who is a future college student and it will be expected to assume more independence and responsibility for their experience? Well, first, I want to say that it is totally normal, and we hear often from parents that the admissions process and getting ready for pre-departure can be a mix of emotions. It's both joy because your student said yes to an exciting experience, and also nervousness. Maybe this wasn't on your student's sort of original plan when they were applying for colleges. And so I want to acknowledge that however you're joining this community is valid. And the next couple of months is about working together to get ready and hopefully ease some of those nerves, starting with the pre-departure process. So what we've heard from parents in the past, in our alumni panel last month, actually, is that pre-departure is a great time for you to start practicing this shift from manager to mentor. So you are preparing your high school, soon to be college student to navigate some real world experiences like time management, how to manage competing priorities, how to turn things in on time. So this is a perfect opportunity, including using the checklist items, to shift from maybe doing things for your student to encouraging them, sitting alongside them, making sure that they're working on things and being there to answer questions if they need them, if they have questions. This all is in preparation for the on-site experience where your student will be a full-fledged college student. And this is really where their independence and their self-authorship starts to take bloom. And so we encourage your student on their on-site program to use resources that are available to them. We'll spend pre-departure starting to share what those resources are, but pre-departure is an excellent sort of training ground for your student to access the resources available to them. And we'll detail what those resources are momentarily. It's important to know that during the pre-departure process, you may reach out to your student's student onboarding advisor to get questions answered, and that's totally fine. But something to be prepared for, typical of a college experience, is that when your student gets on site, they will be communicating directly with their on-site staff. So again, this mentality of switching from manager to mentor really the pre-departure experience is a great practice ground to sort of figure out what this sweet spot is with your student as you get them ready for their on-site experience. All of this, of course, wraps up into our discovery zone framework, which is really our ultimate goal when it comes to student success at Verto. So many of your students may be starting off in this comfort zone. And the idea of this model is that students, by the end of their Verto experience, are thriving in the discovery zone, where they are they can practice gratitude. They have agency over their experience. They feel confident in their abilities to solve problems. They can realize that they grow and they find meaning in their experience. So something that I like about this model is that students can't get to the discovery zone without stretching a little bit. So this checklist, these checklists over the next couple of months and the pre-departure experience, it will require many students to get out of their comfort zone. And that's on purpose. This is helpful for them so that they can learn these skills about how to see opportunities, how to face challenges with the tools that are available to them, how to solve problems. And I guarantee you that the more comfortable they feel in this learning zone, the better experience they're going to have once they get on site. So something as a tool to give you sort of a peek behind the curtain of how we approach empowering students here at Verto. So one role that you can play, this comes from self-authorship theory, is to become a learning partner. So to this idea of switching from from manager to mentor. I like this picture on the right-hand side of, if you can imagine, your student is in the front seat of the tandem bicycle and you're in the back seat. You're giving power and propelling them in the right direction, but your student has their hands on the handlebar and they're determining the direction and ultimately where their path leads. And this may be different than how your relationship has been with your student in high school. That's totally normal. But I want to reiterate that even in, and especially in the pre-departure process, the more that you can help students learn to utilize the resources available to them, the better experience they're going to have on site and the rest of their college career. So we invite you to consider how you can work this learning partner sort of framework into the next couple of months as you support your student. One specific example could be, as I mentioned, your student will be working on a series of checklist items, including visas and course selection and applying for academic accommodations if they need them. The easiest thing you can do for you and your student is that you do them on their behalf. Of course, that keeps them in the comfort zone and it doesn't allow them to move through the stretch zone and the learning zone to get into this discovery zone where they're really able to practice their own autonomy and self-agency. So on the other end of the spectrum would be, the specific example could be you set aside time with your student on Saturday mornings, they're completing it independently, and they let you know, hey, I am up to date with all my checklist items, and you could celebrate together. And this could be a way that you practice learning partner and helping your student get to the discovery zone. So just a quick example of how this plays out in real life. All right, so I've talked a lot about checklist items, and at this point, I'd like to pass it to Rob to introduce himself and also share more details about the onboarding experience with the checklist items. So Rob, I'll let you take it from here.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rob Castillo. I'm the Associate Director for Student Onboarding. I have had the pleasure of living in 5 different countries, but I never actually lived studying abroad. But I love helping students do this. It's an amazing process and how wonderful to start university off in a different way. And we'll meet the team that's helping you and your students. So Mateo, if we go to the next slide. We have an amazing team of onboarding advisors, half of which are actually on site. So these, they're either living in Prague, Florence, Seville, or London, and you'll be able to connect with them. Your students will also be able to connect with them. And then ideally, if they're going to that same location, might even get to meet them in person. All right, so that's the team. Also very important because some of them are living on site. Let's take into consideration the time difference. So you might be emailing them or reaching out to them in the evenings. They won't see it until the next day, but they will get back to you. All right, so let's take a look at the pre-departure timeline. We're just about to wrap up May. So really, for those that have just joined or are currently joining, for example, this week, we're getting you caught up to speed very quickly. There are some things that we're going to be meeting with you and your students on based on deadlines and things that we need to jump on, but you're still in time. That's the main thing. If it's a visa location, we'll talk about that in just a second, but a lot of it will be geared towards gathering documents and things that you will need for your visa appointment, along with passports and other key action items like transcripts, course selections, which we will see in a bit. But our onboarding advisors are ready to catch you up to speed and get you started on many things. What you can do as a parent, and like Mateo was saying, is really just help us guide your student, making sure they are going into their Verto Connect portal, reviewing their checklist, and catching up on all these things pretty quickly, or communicating if they do have any questions. And to help you as a parent out, we have 2 amazing resources, the enrolled participants page and the location resources. We'll look at the enrolled participants page first, which is what Mateo is showing us now. This one has a lot of very important deadlines and key information that you all will probably be asking yourselves in a bit. So even from going to apply for a passport or renew a passport to looking at how to book your flights and what airport to arrive in, what's the arrival window, it's all there. So I would definitely recommend bookmarking this and also reviewing it when you have a chance. It has a lot of key information. For students and parents, you'll see, if you scroll down a little bit, Mateo, you'll see a lot of deadlines and where we're at in the process. So for travel and logistics, academics, billing, and student financial services, we'll have that there. And if you scroll down a little bit more, Mateo, this is going to be very important. I know a lot of students and parents typically reach out, how do I log into Verto Connect, or how do I log into my different apps? There are the logins there, so we always point students and parents to this, so that can also help them. And then the other one is the location resources page. This is going to be probably even more important, especially if you're going to Seville, Prague, or Florence. I saw some questions. I was actually just answering one before I started. If you're asking about deadlines and timeframes of the visas, you'll find a lot of that information here. If you haven't started on it or you haven't sat down with your student to get started on it, I encourage you to look at this first. This has a lot of useful information, and then connect with your onboarding advisor to go over what's the next step, what you need to be doing and what you can be focusing on. And for those that have already started and have already done a lot of that, we also have key information on pre-departure, but also location. So if you're asking about what should my student be packing, how am I supposed to send something to him while he's there, or where do I visit him? What hotels do you recommend if I'm going to be visiting my student? You'll find that here, and you'll be able to go through that information. And of course, reach out to us if you can't find something. And then as I talked a little bit about how you can help us out, this is very important. We're all going to be learning partners in this process. Onboarding and everyone at Verto will be supporting your student as much as we can, but parents are a big part of this. And a lot of it's going to be a switch in the way we're helping our students. Moving from more like the comfort zone, and I relate to this a lot. I'm a parent myself, and usually trying to help your student out, trying to do things for them, which usually in high school or earlier on is the way we do it. Now it's more kind of like taking that back seat and helping them, removing ourselves from the panic zone and helping them go into the growth zone, which is essentially helping them maybe draft an email, maybe helping them or encouraging them to connect and self-advocating for themselves when they have questions or don't know exactly what to do. And then ideally we'll probably move into what we call the discovery zone, where your students basically communicating independently with their onboarding advisors and getting everything ready and done and just updating you on how that progress is looking. And this is the main site or the main portal your students will be using. It's called Verto Connect. We just launched the parent version, which I'll talk about in just a second. But this is where our students will live. This is where they're going to come in and fill out their checklist items, to fill out their information like housing, roommate forms, health history, upload their passports and visa documents. So this is where we're going to be redirecting a lot of our students to go in order to make sure they're completing their action items. But parents also have a parent view access where you can go in and just basically have a general overview of what's going on, as well as billing and tuition information. So we do invite you to connect. You can do that with connectvertoeducation.org or on the enrolled participants page where we showed you a little bit earlier. And this is what the checklist would look like. Students will be logging in. Once they start completing those items, they'll have their check and it's marked off. If it's still pending or they haven't done it, they'll get notifications and we'll remind you in checklist item emails that go out every week, just encouraging students to make sure they go in and complete those said items in a timely manner. And then this is the most important one, passports right now. So we do need passports in order to travel. Some of the deadlines have either gone or about to. For example, Prague, May 15th, we needed those passports for Florence and Seville. It's coming up on June 1st. The reason we need passports is we need to create visa documents for you to apply for that visa. So we do need those passports immediately. If for some reason your passport is not valid or you haven't gotten started on renewing it or getting a new passport, please communicate that to our onboarding team or your onboarding advisor so we can help advise. At this point for Florence and Seville, if there are students here that need to renew or don't have it, please connect immediately. We'll encourage you to go to passport agencies to get your passport same day or probably 1-3 days because we need those. We need those now. Buenos Aires and London, we have a little bit more time, but let's get started on it. We must expedite them and have them by July 1st so we can get started on some key action items for onsite as well. Very important for Spain, the passport must be valid past August 24th, 2027. And for all other locations, at least June 5th, 2027. All right, and then I hinted at visas, but this is going to be very important. Visas for those going to Florence, Seville, and Prague, you will need a visa. It's a sticker that goes on the passport that allows them to study there for more than 90 days. 90 days is typically the tourist visa we all get, but they're going to be staying longer, so they're going to need to have a student visa. The timeline for the visa, and I was answering a question a little bit earlier, will depend. So some consulates and countries, they have anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to turn processing time around. Others might take up to 2 months. So depending on the consulate, depending on what country you're working with, there's a different timeline. Please connect with your onboarding advisor or go to the resources that I showed you a little bit earlier where you'll be able to find that information. But reach out to us if you do have any questions. You will be applying and students have already started applying. In fact, some students have already started getting their visas back. So the earlier you apply, the quicker you're probably going to get that back. Visa application fees will range anywhere between $50 to $170. And note, for Spain and Italy, students cannot attend their student visa appointment until they're 18. So once you're 18, yes, you can go to the appointment. Prague, you can apply as a minor. I was answering a question as well about international travel plans. I know some of you are going with your students probably on a summer trip, maybe a graduation trip, and that's perfectly fine. Please let us know if you do have a travel plan, and if you can provide the dates, you might need to get a secondary passport. This is something we can work with you and help guide you. It's completely normal. Students do this every year, and if your passport is not back in time, we'll guide and show you how to be able to go about doing that. And again, visa timeline, we're right in the middle of it. So this is the biggest month essentially for visas. We're trying to get all applications or students that are applying as ready as possible or submitting their applications in May. So we have a few to go. And then essentially we're waiting for them to get back between anywhere now and July. And then once we have those back, then your student is ready to travel. All right, and then some key action items if you haven't or maybe haven't talked to your student, maybe they've already done it, just haven't let you know. If they haven't met their student onboarding advisor, let's encourage them to do so. You've probably already got an intro comms email introducing you to that onboarding advisor. If you don't see it in your inbox, maybe it's in your spam folder. If not, reach out to onboarding. We can let you know who your onboarding advisor is and then connect you to. Upload or apply for a passport or update us on that status. So if you do need to renew and don't know how, or you think you have it, but you can't find it, please let us know so we know how to better support you. And then upload your unofficial transcript if you have it. Once you've graduated, we're going to need students or their high schools to send their official transcripts over to us. But right now, we're really encouraging them to upload their unofficial transcript. All right, over to Steph.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Steph, Director of Student Financial Services, Visas, and Onboarding at Verto. So my team, like Rob, I oversee the wonderful student onboarding advisors who are supporting you throughout this pre-departure process and the financial services team. I'm going to speak to you tonight. I know this is a hot topic, so we're going to talk specifically about the June 1 deadline coming up, how to make payments, and any questions you may have, as well as resources available to you and how to reach out to us. So firstly, reminder, you cannot use federal financial aid while with your Verto experience. You can use those when you transfer back to your channel partner. That includes Pell Grant, student loans, direct or subsidized or unsubsidized, and Parent Plus loan. We are operating abroad, not federally, and so that is why. That being said, you can use private educational loans. I'll talk about that more in just a moment. That's a perfect segue into payment methods. So how can you pay for your Verto tuition? You can pay with electronically via ACH, credit card, debit card, or if you're paying from an international bank account that does not perhaps allow international ACH, you can do an international wire. You can pay, of course, with a good old-fashioned check. We'll receive that from you and let you know when it is received. You can sign up you can use a 529 educational savings plan. You can use employer tuition reimbursement or remission. You can use external scholarships. And finally, you can use a 5-month payment plan or pay in full. So those are many of the options available to you, just like at a traditional university. The 5-month payment plan does come with a $50 one-time fee per semester. It does not have any interest, so that's a pretty great option. And it spreads out the payments due the first of every into 5 equal payments due the first of every month, June through October. So what are your next steps? Most people have done this already, but if you haven't, that's okay. Don't worry. That's why we're speaking tonight and we'll be available all weekend to assist you. First step is you or your student can log in to Verto Connect, and please, of course, verify that your bill looks accurate. If it doesn't, simply send us an email. We'll help you out and check it out. And you're going to select a payment method form in the Verto Connect billing section. So by selecting a payment method form, you'll be choosing which of these payment methods, you can choose more than one, you're wanting to use, as well as are you wanting to pay in full or use the 5-month payment plan. Once you do that, you will click submit on that form, and that will set up your invoice accordingly. You'll then go back into that invoice, and if you scroll down, you'll see a payment schedule. This will tell you when payments are due based on the inputs that you gave us, as well as if you did select an option that is electronic payment, so perhaps ACH, credit card, debit card, you'll have some links, the payment intents, and you'll have those electronic links right there. You can pay through the portal right there, but let's say that perhaps grandma, grandpa, aunt, somebody else is assisting as well in a portion of the payment. You can also email these links out to whomever may be assisting without needing to give them access to the portal or have them add them as a portal user, anything like that. So it's very flexible in that manner. If you're having any questions, we do have a billing FAQ page, so I'm going to drop that in the chat for you. I'm just pulling that up. And this will answer most of your general questions. Of course, if it does not answer any questions, like I said, please do reach out to us. We are a globally dispersed team, so we have everybody from London all the way through Pacific time. And you'll see that reflected in we have answers coming into your email questions almost 24/7, as well as the ability to set up appointments with us one-on-one. If you want to have a 15-minute one-on-one, we are available, and you'll see that the time range to set this up ranges from anywhere before 8 and around 7 in the morning Eastern all the way till about 7 at night Pacific. So we have a really wide range of times available to help support a globally dispersed student and family body. So let me drop those links in the chat as well, and any further questions, we will be available to support you, like I said, through email all throughout the weekend leading up to June 1, and then many different appointments available tomorrow and into next week. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Steph. So now we're going to switch gears a bit, and we're going to hear from our academic affairs colleagues to share more about the academic experience. So I'll let you take it away from here, Israel. Starting with, you could introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Israel Perez, and I'm Verto's Curriculum and Transfer Specialist. And I am here tonight to talk to you what I think about is the most important part of study abroad, which is the studying aspect of studying abroad. Next slide, please, Mateo. First, it is important to understand how your student is categorized while participating in a Verto experience. All students are enrolled as full-time students with our academic provider, the University of New Haven. New Haven is responsible for providing academic oversight to our programs, and they are responsible for issuing final official transcripts for all of our students. Upon completion of their semester, most students will be categorized as second semester freshmen or first semester sophomores. This standing often depends on how much credit they've already earned through AP, IB, or dual enrollment, and whether or not those credits are accepted by their post-Verto partner school. So we always recommend checking with them to see how those credits will be transferred. Most students can participate in Verto for up to 3 semesters, but cannot take more than 30 credit hours in any one location. This means that they can stay in one location for up to 2 semesters, but then they must transfer to another if they would like to stay for a third. Channel students should refer to the terms of their offer to see how many semesters they are allowed and or required to take. Regardless of the location, there is a firm academic bar. Students must maintain a cumulative 2.0 GPA, which is a C average, to continue with Verto from semester to semester. This is especially critical for our year-long students. If their GPA falls below 2.0 after their first term, they can be dismissed from the program. We will talk more about continuing eligibility later in the presentation. Next slide, please, Mateo. As Steph had just mentioned, this experience will find you and your students shifting roles as they transition between high school and college. We want to highlight what becoming a learning partner looks like from an academic perspective and how you can expect to guide your student instead of doing things for them. In high school, you likely provided a lot of direct support. Maybe you woke them up, made them breakfast, or handled their schedule. A Verto experience is designed to help your student take ownership of their college career, becoming an independent global learner. Even if you could still pull off their blankets and wake them up, their new roommate probably is not going to appreciate the intrusion. Your role shifts to being their primary emotional and financial champion as they navigate this new journey. Many of your students will be 18, legal adults, and as college students, they gain additional rights to their data through the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. I'll speak more on that in just a moment. In addition to their changing relationship with you, their relationship will change in relation to schoolwork too. Gone are the days of simple assignments with frequent teacher check-ins. Now the work will be more complex and they must navigate how to be successful on their own. Deadlines are firm and retakes are typically only granted under exceptional circumstances. Next slide, please, Mateo. So in college, your student gains new rights to their academic information through a federal law called FERPA. This is a crucial part of becoming an adult student. It means that their records are private and they are the person who communicates directly with our team about grades, schedules, and progress. FERPA shifts your access to information. So if you're used to systems like PowerSchool or Canvas, where you get routine updates on missing assignments or attendance, please know that this is no longer allowed. If your student chooses to grant you access to certain records, they must complete a specific FERPA waiver. We strongly encourage you to discuss this with your student. Even then, if they choose to waive their FERPA rights, we won't add parents to their Canvas courses or send you notifications about late work. Aside from extraordinary emergencies or legal obligations, we cannot share information without their consent. Next slide, please, Mateo. So one of the things that I like to emphasize is that we are Verto Education, not Verto Travel LLC. Well, one of the coolest aspects of our experience is that it happens abroad. It happens while studying abroad. So let's take some time to talk about how academics are incorporated into your students' daily life. Here on this graphic, you can see what a typical day might look like for a student. You can see there's classwork, labs to attend, and faculty office hours. If you scan the QR code here, you can also hear one of our previous students narrate her day in London. On a weekly basis, classes are held Monday through Fridays, starting around 8:30 a.m. and ending no later than 8 p.m. Classes held on Fridays tend to be lab or studio sessions and other highly experiential classes that benefit from longer time blocks to get you out of the classroom and into the city. When creating student schedules, we strive to build schedules that are balanced and consider the holistic aspects of a student's day. Next slide, please, Mateo. Now, I'd like to share some information about how we identify our world-class faculty. All faculty must have at least a master's degree and 1 year of teaching experience in their discipline. While this is a minimum requirement, we try to ensure that at least 25% of faculty have a doctorate, and in fall 2025, 46% of our faculty have PhDs. Each faculty member is reviewed and approved by our academic provider, the University of New Haven. One of the best things about our faculty is that instructors are often citizens of the country that they're teaching in, so they often provide you with a unique perspective that is often different from what you experience in the US. We survey students at midterms and finals about their classroom experience. And in fall 2025, our faculty collectively earned a 4.38 out of 5 on a variety of questions ranging from whether or not students feel like they're being challenged to think critically to whether or not the faculty member is providing timely feedback on assignments. We're focused not only on retaining quality faculty, but also faculty who are able to support our specific model of academic rigor and success. Next slide, please, Mateo. One question that we often hear is, will my student be prepared to continue their college career at another university post-Verto? And I will say that the answer is a resounding yes. Though academic rigor may not necessarily show in ways that you or your students typically expect. For many, the mark of a rigorous experience is students fending for themselves in a big, stuffy lecture hall where their grades are based on 2 massive term papers evaluated by an overworked TA and lectured at by a professor who could not care less. Students' academic success is not always linked to their continued effort, and they can be just as successful cramming as they are remaining consistently engaged. In this conventional rigor environment, feedback is often summative and terminal, too late for students to incorporate and make significant changes. It is often fear-based, stressful, and linked to difficulty rather than mastery, and that couldn't be farther from the Verto experience. First, we work with faculty to ensure that they're incorporating the right mix of low and high stakes assessments and ensure that students are getting frequent feedback while also having the opportunity to perform at a high level. By comparison to high school, there may be more work, but the goal isn't just more volume, but also more complexity and connection. One example I'd like to give you is in a stats class in Florence, you might discuss frequency and distribution, then build your data set by sitting in the front of the study center and counting the number of Vespas, motorcycles, and cars that passed by in 30 minutes. Next slide, please, Mateo. Our classes are designed with student success in mind. While participating in one of our experiences, students spend class time interacting with one another in small class sizes, limited to no more than 25 students. Often these numbers are much lower, and classes average 14 to 16 students in fall 2025. In such intimate and active spaces, this isn't a program where your student can hide in the back of the classroom. Instead, they'll be rewarded for sustained daily engagement and incremental progress, especially since we require faculty to distribute grades so that students earn at least 25% of their grade in each quarter of the semester. This ensures adequate formative feedback, meaning that students are getting feedback while they are working so they can make adjustments and improve. Our goal is to cultivate talent and build resilience through mastery, and then help connect students to resources like office hours and tutoring when they don't quite make the mark. If you would like more information on the different strategies that inform our approach, I encourage you to review our accessible and inclusive learning policy on the Verto policy page. Next slide, please, Mateo. Next, I want to highlight some resources on our website that can be very helpful to better understand our programs and that we recommend you discuss with your students prior to their departure. The academic calendar is an essential document and available under the location resources pages on our website. Each one is localized to their program location and details important academic related dates like add drop, midterm, and final exams, as well as any holidays. Here you can see Mateo showing you where you can access that. It is important to note that Verto does not recognize US holidays, so a crucial piece of advice, do not book travel without consulting the local academic calendar. You can discuss these dates with your student's onboarding advisor and finally confirm with your student after they're on site. The academic calendar is for the program overall and will be inclusive of your students' course-specific deadlines. Those are going to be in their syllabi, and unfortunately, saying my mom is visiting is not going to be a sufficient excuse to miss any class deadlines. The attendance policy is one of the most critical to understand as it ties into the study and study abroad. Full and active participation is key to success. First, it's a legal requirement. Students must maintain enrollment in 12 credit hours for visa and immigration requirements to remain on site. Academically, Verto prioritizes education. When students show up to class and participate, they leverage the opportunity to start college differently in a collaborative environment. Please remember the rule of thumb. 1 hour of class generally equates to 2 hours of homework. Missing too much class can lead to falling behind, and grade penalties may be applied due to absence. Finally, attendance is a chance to live the Verto values. Showing up on time prepared demonstrates respect for faculty, staff, and peers, and helps your students build community. We understand challenges happen, so we urge students to reach out for help and apply for accommodations before an issue arises. Next slide, please, Mateo. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that students who plan to continue with Verto for a second or third semester must maintain their academic eligibility. This requires a 2.0 minimum GPA along with good behavioral and financial standing. If a student earns below a 2.0, specifically a GPA between 1.5 and 1.99, they may be allowed to enroll in Verto's academic recovery program. This program is limited to specific sites, so students who want to take advantage of this option may need to change their location. Participants in these programs are limited to enrolling in 13 or 14 credits and may be required to repeat courses for grade placement. Any student who earns a 1.49 and below is not eligible to continue with Verto, period. I want to underscore that these are cutoffs to continue in Verto experiences. Your student's partner school may have a higher GPA requirement, and they may not be able to take advantage of their guaranteed pathway if their GPA is below their channel partner's requirements. So it's essential for students to review the specific terms of their university's offer to ensure that they are remaining on track for a seamless transfer. We will communicate academic standing directly to students. They are going to receive on/off-track letters after midterm grades are available, and an eligibility letter after final grades are posted. We also send a reminder letter to parents after midterm grades, encouraging you to check in with your students. Remember, due to FERPA, this is only a reminder to check in with your student. We will not send you your student status directly in our midterm communication. All policies are going to be available on the Verto's website under the Enrolled Participants submenu. Now that you know what to expect from the classroom experience, let's talk about what course supply students need to be successful. Verto will provide access to academic systems like our learning management software Canvas, our e-textbook provider Cengage, and students will also receive access to UNU Haven's student portal, MyCharger, where they can access their grades and library resources. Your program fees also cover the cost of all lab materials, art materials, which does include cameras for this photography class, and costs related to experiential learning excursions and activities. When making decisions about what to pack, we often say that there are pens in Buenos Aires and paper in Seville, but you probably cannot pick up your childhood teddy bear from the local market. While all students will need a laptop with a charger and adapter or a tablet with an external keyboard, and some starter supplies like notebook and pens, students should not feel pressure to pack a bag full of stationery. Prioritize things that will make your student feel confident and prepared, like their favorite calculator, but otherwise, much of the supplies can be secured when they arrive on site. Students can check the location-specific packing list for more details on what they should take. Next slide, please, Mateo. Now on to what most people are most excited for, which is course selection. So first, what is course selection? It is when students submit their preferred ranked choice courses for the upcoming semester. Course selection is where you submit a ranked choice list of courses you'd like to take in the upcoming semester. Unlike the traditional university process of signing up for a specific section at a specific time, we're going to use your preferences to build a schedule for you. Again, you're not guaranteed to get everything you preference, but the majority of students get at least 80% of their top choices. Students will find everything they need to know in Verto Connect, their student portal for uploading documents and accessing the selection tool, Canvas, where they will also take the placement exam. And that's all for me. Back to you, Mateo.
All right. So thinking a little bit far ahead, I know we've shared a lot of information about what's to come in the next couple of months and even weeks and even days. But you may also be thinking, after this great experience, what happens? How does my student get support for their post-Verto plan? So first, I want to say, for every student, we have comprehensive plans and resources to help your student complete their dreams and make it to their channel school. So first, if your student is a channel student, meaning that they've been given an invite-only sort of pathway to their channel school, they're going to have resources that will help answer a lot of questions that they may have. So one of those resources is called the FAQ doc. And as the name would imply, these documents are prepared by each channel partner representative, and they answer questions about housing or course enrollment for your student's post-Verto institution, or who's the best contact if your student has questions specific to their sort of channel representative. So you're going to want to review that FAQ document with your student to be aware of what information is covered, because I guarantee you most questions you have or your student has will probably be in there. In addition, every channel partner has prepared what's called a course registration guide, and this shows your student how courses offered through our academic provider, University of New Haven, are going to articulate to their channel school. One great feature about the course selection process at Verto is the system won't allow your student to enroll in a course that will give them 0 credits for their transfer institution. So rest assured that they have plenty of resources, including the course registration guide, to make some decisions about what courses they'd like to preference for their fall semester. I also want to say some things to keep in mind is we will be hosting, in collaboration with our channel schools, events called Campus Connect over the summer. And for most institutions, this means that your student will be able to have face-to-face time with a channel representative and reiterate what the matriculation requirements are. So your student has those in mind before they start their semester. Again, as with all things, make sure to remind your student to be checking their email. This is often one of those skills that students struggle with, especially coming from high school to college. So please make sure that they're checking their inbox, because that's where we're going to be communicating with them primarily in regards to any upcoming events with their channel partner. If your student is a traditional student, meaning that they're joining Verto and exploring options once their experience ends, that's awesome. First, I'll say there's no pressure for your student to start their application process or sort of get a head start on anything. But if they would like to, I invite you with your student to check out our direct transfer page. This highlights all of the schools that we have partnerships with that offer guaranteed admission. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Excuse me. That we offer a guaranteed admission given that your student meets the eligibility criteria. So we partner with schools around the country and even world, some really great partnerships, and schools that might not have even been on your student's radar. We invite you to check out this website to get a head start on what schools your student might be interested in applying in. Now, as I mentioned, no pressure for your student to start their application process. In fact, that's one of the benefits of joining a Verto experience is our on-site team will help your student prepare their application. They have up to 5 free applications that they could submit for our direct transfer partners, and our on-site team will support your student in getting those applications in. So things to look forward to if your student is traditional and exploring their options. All right, so we're nearing the end of our presentation. So I want to do a roundup of frequently asked questions that you may have. We may have answered many of them in the 35 questions we've answered so far, but just want to reiterate some of these for absolute clarity. So first, this is the ideal time to start booking flights for your student if you haven't already. We need flights uploaded by July 1st, although we have many flights already in our Verto Connect, and I encourage your student to get on that to avoid prices rising and last minute stress. Keep in mind that Florence-bound students will need their flights by the time they attend their visa appointment. So this will definitely be before July 1st. And that's because they need their proof of round trip travel as part of the Italian student visa process. Other parents have asked in the chat, should I buy a round trip flight? We almost always recommend yes. And the reason is when your student crosses an international border, they're subject to the customs laws of that country. And your student may be asked for proof of onward travel. And if they don't have that, that might cause an unpleasant situation or a panic situation. So we highly encourage families and students to purchase a round trip ticket. If that feels like too much of a commitment, families in the past have booked tickets that have flexible dates or a ticket that will allow for changes if you need to change at the end of the semester, but most students will arrive with a round trip ticket. This is especially important for students who are planning on attending a visa location in the spring and also our Prague location in the spring. And that's both for visa reasons and also to keep Schengen zone days that you will need if you're going to Prague in the spring. So keep that in mind. The other resource that we want to share with you that we went over, but just to reiterate, is back on the enrolled participants page, you're going to see with your student the windows that they should be arriving on August 24th. So especially for sites like London that have upwards of 3 airports that your student could arrive to, make sure that you've double checked that they're arriving to the right airport. This has happened to me where I've thought I was arriving to Heathrow and I ended up arriving to an airport an hour and a half out of the city. You don't want that for your student because we can't organize transport for them also. So please make sure they're arriving within the time frame and within the correct airport, and just avoid any last minute hassles there. Okay, good. So the next one, academic accommodations. Something to keep in mind is if your student had an IEP or academic accommodations in high school, they don't carry over from institution to institution, meaning your student will need to apply for academic accommodations via our academic provider, New Haven. The good news is every year we have students that request academic accommodations and are granted them. And that's because we want every student to succeed at Verto. I want to share this information with you early so that you can support your student with this checklist item that is especially important. And that's because if your student arrives on site and they need academic accommodations, but they do not have them in place, that creates a lot of problems for your student and their learning experience. We recommend that students have their academic accommodations in place by July 31st. But keep in mind, this is a multi-step process. It also includes a Zoom welcome interview that your student will have with a member of the Accessibility Resources Center at University of New Haven. So if this describes your student, I highly recommend this be one of the priority items for your students' checklist item to make sure that they're starting their first semester with college with all the tools in their tool belt. If you have any questions, your student can reach out to the Dean of Students office, although on the Enroll Participants page, we have a really great guide that walks your student through the application process. In addition to that link that I just shared here, on this July 31st deadline, we have a video tutorial as well, recorded by an alum that gives you sort of an overview of what this process looks like. So thanks for supporting your student and getting those requests in. Another question that comes in at this time is, should I visit? Should I let my student go on their own? And the answer is that really depends on what is going to be best for your student. And only you and your student will know that. So in alumni family panels in the past, we've had parents say, I'm so glad I didn't go because that let my student have this independent experience and this full transition into adulthood. We've also had parents say, I'm so glad I did go because my student benefited from me being there for the first couple of days, getting them ready for their experience. So I'll turn it back to you and say, whatever works for you works for us. But as we mentioned in the previous slides, keep in mind, we don't give any time off for excused absences for family visits. So you're going to want to plan your visits around regional holidays, not our US holidays. Thanksgiving, for example, we're going to have class on that day. We'll also have a Thanksgiving celebration as we do every year, but students will be going to class on that Thursday. So keep that in mind. In addition, as I mentioned, if your student is going to Prague in the spring of 27, they must return back home on departure day. And that is so that they can keep their 90 Schengen days intact. The spring 27 program is a 90-day program. And so students will need every day of that Schengen, those 90 Schengen days in order to be a part of that experience. So please keep that in mind. If you are planning on visiting us, we do have tickets available for our parent day that happens after arrival day, or in some sites, the day after and the following day. So the Tuesday and Wednesday after arrival day. This is an opportunity for you to network with other parents, to meet our program director, to learn more about our sort of study center. It's by no means an obligation, but if you're in town and we have tickets, I recommend you check out those tickets. We share the link in our weekly checklist email that goes out every Wednesday. So be sure to check your inbox for that. I do also want to say the Florence event, it has reached capacity. That being said, any parents who are in town on arrival day, August 24th, are more than welcome to stop by our study center. And in fact, your student will need to go to the study center on that day anyways to get into their housing. So please stop by, say hi to our team. We'd be happy to welcome you and say hello on that day. Another hot topic that comes at this time is my student wants to room with someone else. And to that I say, that's awesome. We have great feature in Verto Connect, that same place that they're completing their checklist items. Students have access to a enrolled student only social media network. It's called Verto Connect Community. In that community, they can access the full directory of students that are going to their location and students that are going to their location and share the same channel school. And they can meet each other, exchange contact information. And if they find someone that they would like to room with, they have until June 25th to make that request. Now, keep in mind, these requests must be mutual. So if I request Israel and Israel does not request me, our onsite team is not going to honor that request for me. That being said, if your student does not find someone in pre-departure that they want to room with, no worries. We have many students who opt to not request a roommate. Instead, they're going to complete their housing preference form. And in that form, we have a series of questions that gauge, are you a night owl or an early bird? Do you like to study in your room or go outside and be in a cafe? And that's going to help our onsite team make optimal roommate placements. So keep that in mind. That is an option for your student if they're nervous and or excited about meeting someone that they would want to room with. I also want to mention, actually, before I go into health and safety stuff, anything you wanted to mention about premium housing, where we're at and how students can indicate their interest there?
Great timing. Thanks, Mateo. We do have premium housing available in London, Seville, Florence, and Prague. In all cases, premium housing means a single room, so your student doesn't share a room with another student. It does come with an added cost. There is limited availability, and in order to secure your premium room, there is a deposit required. The way students do this, they will log into Verto Connect, their housing roommate preference form will have all the information of the different options that are available to them. They're all different by location, so I can't share them here, but check them out with your student there if that's something that your student wants or that you and your student feel would be the best fit to set them up for success. We do currently still have availability in all locations. So sooner rather than later is good because availability will fill. And this form is due by June 25th, but it is something that we want you to think on and make sure you're making the right decision because there is a deposit required. I think that's all the important information there. If you have further questions, you can reach out to your student onboarding advisor.
Awesome. Thank you, Steph. Our last topic, I think, here is about health and safety. We're going to have a parent-oriented webinar during the summer, specifically on the topic of health and safety. But just to give you the highlights right now, something to keep in mind as you're working on the checklist, as your students working on their checklist, is when it comes to prescription medications, we highly, highly recommend that students arrive with their full dosage for their prescription that will last the duration of the semester. And that's because in the US, sometimes we have medication that is hard to get abroad and or you won't find the exact medication, like a like for like medication. So we really recommend that students arrive with all the medication that they might need. Typically, you can go to the travel clinic at your hospital or with your physician, your student's physician, and they'd be more than happy to supply this full dosage that your student would bring in their carry-on with their prescription to have ready in case there's any questions that arise in TSA. But that is generally our recommendation there when it comes to prescription medication. There was a question also about insurance. Your student is automatically enrolled in CISI insurance, which is a globally reputable and sort of industry standard for student travel insurance. We'll share more information about how insurance works when we get to that part of our pre-departure, but you're more than welcome to check out our safety page and read our brochure for the insurance that your student is already signed up for, which is great. All right, lastly, I want to say we shared a lot of to-dos, but there's also some fun for your student to do as well. So I highly encourage your student to log into Verto Connect and click on the community tab. And this is where they're going to be able to meet students that are going to their same location and their same channel school. So I have questions all the time from parents who are like, my student wants to meet someone who's also going to Vanderbilt or Boston or UTK. The answer is they have that in their hand, actually, in Verto Connect. They have access to all their peers. They do need to log in, though. So this is where students need to meet us halfway and use the tools that we're giving them. So we have this community tab. We host events almost weekly for students to socialize, but also students are already part of a private network where they can start making friends. The average Verto student makes 5 friends before they get on site. And I know that because we collect this data. So please help your student be a part of that majority and meet at least 5 people before they get on site, because that tends to help ease their nerves and feel more confident before they start their experience. Lastly, I want to say your student, if they've already completed their next step session, that's awesome. What else is coming for their onboarding is a series of pre-departure orientation. So it kicks off with an onboarding course that will go live on July 15th. Your student has 1 month to complete this onboarding course. And then they also will be required to attend 4 live sessions that cover a variety of topics that your student needs to know before they get on site. That includes a global orientation where we cover the code of responsibility, academic expectations, things they should start working on now. It comes before the location orientation where they will meet their program director and get site-specific information and also ask questions to their on-site staff. We have a specific housing orientation. So your student learns about their neighborhood, housing rules and details and tips about how to be a good roommate and enjoy their cohabitating experience. And lastly, a care team circle. This is where they meet their student success advisor and also the peers that make up their care team. These are required sessions because Discovery Week, their first week on site, it's our equivalent to orientation, assumes the students know all of this information. We won't start at zero because we want to make sure that we cover everything we need to know. So please encourage your student to respond, RSVP to these events. They're already live on our orientation webpage. And you'll see on the webpage as well at the very bottom, a parent pre-departure orientation, which I encourage you to attend as well. Just like tonight's session, we'll cover topics that we cover with students in the pre-departure orientation, but more geared towards parents. So you can get an overview of what we've shared and expectations, and we're all aligned and on the same page. Lastly, I want to say the recording for tonight's session will be available on the Family Resources page tomorrow. So I encourage you to bookmark that page if you haven't already. You can also take a look at our library of previous events. So far, we also have a parent alumni panel that you can check out from last month. This is also where you can RSVP for our academic-specific webinar next week. We'll have academic affairs back and sharing much more details about the college experience for your student, especially as a first-time college student. It's important that they are aware of the changes, and we want to empower you with tools that you can use to help get your student prepared. So RSVP for that event. I think we already have more than 200 families RSVP'd. So help us and join us and make that 300. And if you're already RSVP'd, thanks for RSVPing. We'll see you there next Tuesday. And lastly, I have an exciting announcement for you all as exclusive members of our community. I'm going to share with you all in the chat a brand new resource that we actually just rolled out today. So you're going to be the first parents to see it. We often receive questions about what's the on-site experience going to look like? What does support practically look like for my student? Or what can I expect out of communication with on-site teams and Verto throughout the semester? I'm pleased to share we have many questions answered and a whole framework for you to dig into over the summer in our parent handbook. You'll also find a series of parent alumni stories that share about how they helped their student in reaching independence and practicing their sort of self-agency skills. So I invite you to take a look at that handbook. It'll go live officially, but since you all are here, I figured I'd give you the sneak peek. And if you have any feedback, email me and let me know if there's a question that we didn't answer. Although I feel pretty confident that we have most questions answered about the on-site experience in our handbook. So thanks for taking a look at that, and we're excited to unroll that with you. All right, so with that, we are at time, and I know we went a couple minutes over time, so I want to appreciate everyone being here to share information together and really lean into our learning partnership. We're going to work together in support of your student to get them ready for their on-site experience. It's a big jump from high school to college, from living in the US to living abroad, from having like a really close sort of network you're used to jumping in an entire new community. And the good news is we've had thousands of students come and leave our community so much better prepared for their college experience and for life in general. And I'm excited that your student will be a part of that community and already is a part of that community. So we have the next couple of months to get ready for the on-site experience. With that, I want to say for our panelists, is there any information you would like to double sort of click on before we close?
Mateo, there is an outstanding question that you might be able to answer about if there is a wait list for the Florence sneak peek day, the parent welcome day.
Yeah, so the wait list currently is over 50 parents. It won't move to have 50 parents slots available. So instead, I highly recommend that you come visit us on arrival day, August 24th, and say hi. Our staff knows that we did our best to provide as much capacity on this day for parents, but also recognizing with our largest cohort ever and our staff capacity, we weren't able to make it an unlimited sort of seat situation. That being said, we would love for you to stop by the study center on arrival day and say hello to our team. I did get one more question. Will all the Q&A here be accessible? So the way that Zoom works is I can't save the Q&A, so I invite you to check out the Q&A and note any answers that you want to keep. I'll leave this session live for the next 15 or 20 minutes, although I'll be off camera. But you're welcome to take a look at that. And the recording will be on the Family Resources page tomorrow. Okay. Anything else that our panelists wanted to reiterate?
Just make sure you check out the enrolled participants page. A lot of your questions can be answered with the information there. And as Mateo and Rob showed you, it very much has location-specific information like money, currency, cell phones, what to pack, like all of that information is there. And then if you still have questions about that, reach out to your onboarding advisor and they'll be happy to help.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Well, before people leave, we shared a lot of information and now we want some information from you. If you could do us the honors. I just launched a poll. It's a quick poll. We just want to know what resonated with you in this presentation tonight. What outstanding questions do you have? We are committed to constant improvement here at Verto. And so every data point you give us will help us make these sessions even better and more useful for future families. So if you could please fill out that survey. It's just 4 questions and we'll be grateful for you. You might have received a pop-up that came up on your screen that asks you to fill out the survey. And if not, in your Zoom toolbar, there may be a button that says more where you could click for polls. So I see we have a couple of people who've responded already. Thank you so much for that. There was one, I see a couple of questions on the parent day. So let me go through my channels and I'm just going to drop the direct links to that. Just give me 1 second while I find those links. I'll drop them if you just give me 1 moment. Let me see here. Okay, so I just put those in the chat. So every site has their own page. As I mentioned, Florence has a pretty extensive wait list. So I would encourage any families that are in town on arrival day to stop by and say hi during arrival day instead. For all other sites, you should see some tickets available. All right, we've got 15 people responded to our Q&A, our polls. I thank you for that. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, for being a part of our community. Hopefully you found that this information was helpful for you and you feel a little less nervous thinking about the next couple of months. I know that these are busy. It's a busy season. Maybe your student has already graduated. And I know we even have families probably watching this recording that told me they couldn't be here because they're at their student's graduation ceremony. So if that's you, congratulations. If your student will be graduating soon, give them a huge congratulations. Our community is really fun too. I know we shared a lot of checklist items that may seem daunting, but we have high expectations because the reward for putting in the work is so high, and the experience your student is preparing for is unlike any that they have had in their life. I connect with alumni all the time that talk about how amazing their experience was and how if they could go back and do it all over again, because it is truly a once in a lifetime experience. So we're very excited to receive your student in the next couple of months. And of course, we have some work to do. So we look forward to your student connecting with their student onboarding advisor in the months and weeks to come, to connecting with their peers via Verto Connect in our community feature, and to getting ready collectively as a community for this experience, which is sure to be amazing. All right, so with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We hope to see many of you next week on Tuesday for our parent event on academics, and expect a once monthly webinar from here on out about different topics. This is our last parent welcome call, so I invite you to check out the recording if you wanted to review any of this information. Otherwise, we look forward to a great summer leading up to a transformational experience abroad this fall. So thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.